Life is unpredictable. One moment, everything seems to be going smoothly, and the next, we are faced with challenges that shake us to our core. A sudden job loss, a painful breakup, or the overwhelming pressure of modern life can leave us feeling lost and powerless. In these moments, it is easy to fall into stress and uncertainty, wondering how to regain control. But what if hardships were not obstacles to avoid, but opportunities to grow? What if the struggles we face could become the foundation for a stronger, wiser, and more resilient version of ourselves? This is where Stoicism comes in, and no one embodies its wisdom better than Lucius Annaeus Seneca, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers of ancient Rome. His insights on mental toughness, emotional mastery, and resilience have stood the test of time, guiding not just emperors like Marcus Aurelius, but also modern leaders, athletes, and entrepreneurs who rely on these principles to navigate success and failure with clarity. In this video, we will explore Seneca's most powerful lessons on resilience, providing you with practical strategies to overcome adversity, master your emotions, and build unshakable inner strength. Whether you are dealing with setbacks at work, struggles in relationships, or personal doubts, these insights will help you develop a mindset that thrives under pressure. But before we dive in, I have a small request for you. If you want to gain more control over your mind, strengthen your resilience, and learn timeless wisdom that will transform your life, hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications. If you find value in this content, hit the like button. It helps more people discover this message. Drop a comment with your biggest takeaway and how you plan to apply it. Most importantly, share this video with someone who needs it, because knowledge only grows when we pass it on. Let's build a community of thinkers and action takers, people who refuse to be defeated by life's challenges and instead turn them into fuel for growth. Now let's get started with Seneca's first lesson, the power of focus. Lesson 1. The power of focus. To be everywhere is to be nowhere. In today's fast-paced world, multitasking is often seen as a badge of honor. We juggle everything at once, checking emails during meetings, scrolling through social media while eating, and jumping between tasks as if doing more at the same time makes us more productive. But let's be honest, are we really getting more done, or are we just spreading ourselves too thin? Seneca, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, warned us about this centuries ago. He said, "To be everywhere is to be nowhere." In other words, when we divide our attention across too many things, we fail to give any of them the depth and focus they deserve. Instead of making real progress, we end up with unfinished tasks, scattered energy, and a constant sense of being overwhelmed. The truth about multitasking. It's slowing you down. What Seneca observed through wisdom, modern science has now confirmed. Our brains are not built for multitasking. A study from Stanford University found that people who frequently switch between tasks struggle with memory retention, attention span, and cognitive control. Neuroscientists explain that the brain does not actually multitask. Instead, it rapidly shifts focus between tasks, which causes mental fatigue and reduces overall efficiency. According to the American Psychological Association, multitasking can increase mistakes by 40% and significantly slow down work performance. Yet, despite all this evidence, we still convince ourselves that doing more things at once makes us more productive. The truth? It only leaves us exhausted, distracted, and unfulfilled. A real-life example, the sculptor's focus. Imagine a sculptor working on a masterpiece. If they constantly switch between multiple sculptures, never dedicating full attention to just one, none of them will ever be completed. The The details will remain unfinished, the form incomplete, and the vision blurred by constant distraction. This lesson applies to all of us. Where in your life are you trying to do too much at once? Whether you're an entrepreneur, a student, or a creative, the ability to focus deeply on one task at a time is what separates excellence from mediocrity. Seneca's wisdom is clear. Depth matters more than breadth. Quality matters more than quantity. True productivity is not about doing more. It's about doing what matters better. Training your mind for deep work. So how can we apply this wisdom in a world filled with distractions? Here are 5 practical Stoic techniques to help you strengthen your focus and concentration. 1. Single tasking over multitasking. Commit to one task at a time. Set clear blocks of time where you focus entirely on a single objective. When your mind is fully engaged, your results improve and your stress decreases. 2. Eliminate distractions ruthlessly. Our environment is designed to steal our attention. Take control by removing distractions. Put your phone on silent or leave it in another room. Close unnecessary browser tabs. Turn off notifications. Set up a dedicated workspace where you can work without interruptions. The fewer distractions you have, the easier it is to enter a state of deep concentration. 3. Apply the Marcus Aurelius mindset. Marcus Aurelius, another great Stoic, wrote, "Concentrate every minute like a Roman, on doing what is in front of you with precision and sincerity." This means committing fully to whatever task is in front of you, no matter how small. When you give something your full attention, you do it better. 4. Use time blocking, like Seneca would. Instead of working reactively, structure your day with focused time blocks. Work in 90-minute deep focus sessions, followed by short breaks. Schedule your most important tasks during your peak energy hours. Group similar tasks together to maintain momentum. This method prevents burnout and maximizes efficiency. 5. Embrace the less but better philosophy. Instead of trying to do everything, focus on doing fewer things, but doing them exceptionally well. Cut out unnecessary commitments. Prioritize what truly moves the needle. Channel your energy into what makes the biggest impact. Being busy does not mean being effective. Real progress comes from focusing on what truly matters. Mastering focus for a Stoic life. In a world full of distractions, mastering deep focus is a superpower. The greatest minds in history, from Seneca to modern productivity experts, agree that real progress comes from undivided attention. By applying this Stoic principle, we don't just become more productive, we develop a sharper, calmer, and more disciplined mind. So, before moving on, take a moment to reflect. Where am I spreading myself too thin? What distractions can I remove today? How would my life change if I focused deeply on just one thing at a time? Let me know in the comments. And if this lesson resonated with you, hit that like button and share this with someone who needs to hear it. Now let's move on to the next lesson, where we will learn how to master self-control and discipline through Seneca's wisdom. Lesson 2. Mastering self-control. All the greatest torments are the result of an undisciplined mind. In life, we often assume that our biggest sources of stress come from external factors. A difficult boss, a toxic relationship, or an unfair situation can all feel like the root of our suffering. But according to Seneca, our greatest torments do not arise from the outside world. They come from within. It is our undisciplined minds, our unchecked impulses, and our emotional reactions that cause the most suffering. Think about it. How often do we let a single negative comment ruin an entire day? How many times have we reacted impulsively out of anger, fear, or anxiety, only to regret it later. Seneca's insight is clear. It is not the events themselves that disturb us, but how we choose to interpret and react to them. In other words, true mental toughness does not come from controlling what happens to us. It comes from controlling how we respond. The Stoic foundation of self-mastery. This idea is not unique to Seneca. It is a principle echoed by Epictetus, another great Stoic philosopher, who famously said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." True freedom, according to Stoicism, is not about doing whatever we want. It is about having the discipline to govern our emotions and actions, no matter what circumstances we face. Without self-discipline, we become slaves to our impulses. We react in anger instead of responding with clarity. We let fear dictate our decisions instead of using reason. We become prisoners of fleeting emotions instead of architects of our responses. This is why Seneca emphasized self-discipline as the foundation of Stoicism. If we do not master ourselves, we will always be at the mercy of external events. The psychology of emotional regulation. Modern psychology confirms what Seneca taught centuries ago. The ability to regulate emotions plays a critical role in mental strength and resilience. People with strong emotional control experience less stress, make better decisions, and build stronger relationships. Impulsive reactions often come from the amygdala, the part of the brain responsible for the fight or flight response. However, when we pause and engage the prefrontal cortex, we shift from emotional reaction to rational, measured response. This means that self-control is not just a personality trait, it is a skill that can be trained and improved. A real-life example: how do you handle criticism? Imagine you are at work and a colleague criticizes your idea in front of everyone. What is your first reaction? Do you snap back defensively, feeling personally attacked? Do you hold on to resentment, letting it affect your mood for the rest of the day? Or do you pause, reflect, and respond thoughtfully? A Stoic trained mind would take a step back and ask, is this criticism valid or exaggerated? Is my reaction based on ego or reason? How can I use this feedback to improve rather than take it personally? By shifting from impulse-driven reactions to intentional responses, we reclaim control over our emotions and prevent unnecessary suffering. How to strengthen self-control? Mastering self-discipline does not happen overnight. But with consistent daily practice, we can strengthen our ability to control our emotions and respond with wisdom instead of impulse. Here are 5 Stoic practices to help you cultivate self-control. 1. Pause. Before reacting. When faced with criticism, frustration, or conflict, take a deep breath and delay your response. Even 3 seconds of pause can prevent a reaction you might regret. This small habit trains your brain to respond intentionally rather than react impulsively. 2. Separate emotion from action. Recognize that feeling angry, anxious, or frustrated is normal, but acting on those emotions impulsively is a choice. Instead of saying, "I am angry," try reframing it as, "I am experiencing anger, but I do not have to act on it." By creating mental distance between your emotions and your actions, you gain control over how you respond. 3. Use the view from above technique. Imagine you are an outsider looking down at your life. Will this situation matter in a week, a month, a year? Is it worth losing your peace of mind over? By shifting your perspective, you reduce emotional overreactions and focus only on what truly matters. Practice voluntary hardship. To build emotional resilience, train yourself to handle discomfort. Try fasting for a few hours to test your patience. Take cold showers to strengthen your mental fortitude. Reduce social media or entertainment consumption for a day to regain focus. These small challenges condition your brain to handle stress without emotional reactivity. 5. Journal, like Marcus Aurelius. At the end of each day, reflect on your emotional reactions. Ask yourself, what triggered my emotions today? Were my reactions justified? How could I have responded better? Journaling builds self-awareness, which is the first step toward mastering self-control. Control your mind, control your life. At the heart of Stoicism lies a powerful truth. Our emotions do not control us unless we allow them to. Seneca, Epictetus, and Marcus Aurelius all understood that the strongest person is not the one who dominates others, it is the one who masters themselves. By practicing self-discipline and emotional mastery, we free ourselves from the torment of impulses, stress, and reactive thinking. Instead, we build a life of calm, strength, and resilience. So, as you move forward, ask yourself, where am I losing control over my emotions? What habits can I practice daily to strengthen self-discipline? How can I train myself to respond with wisdom instead of impulse? Now, let's move on to Lesson 3, where we will explore how mental preparation can shield us from life's unexpected hardships. Lesson 3. Mental preparedness. Rehearse them in your mind. Life is unpredictable. No matter how much we plan, unexpected challenges will arise. A job loss, health issues, financial setbacks, or personal disappointments can come without warning. In these moments, people tend to respond in one of two ways. Some panic, freeze, or become overwhelmed, making the situation worse. Others stay composed, adapt quickly, and take decisive action. Which type of person do you want to be? Seneca offers us a solution: mental preparation. He advised, rehearse them in your mind: exile, torture, war, shipwreck. All the terms of our human lot should be before our eyes. At first glance, this might sound overly dramatic. Why would we want to dwell on worst-case scenarios? Should we not focus on positive thinking instead? Not exactly. What Seneca is teaching us is a powerful Stoic practice called the premeditation of evils. It is not about living in fear. It is about reducing fear by mentally preparing for life's hardships before they happen. Why mental preparation is not pessimism. Many people misunderstand this principle, thinking that visualizing worst-case scenarios will make them negative or anxious. But in reality, it does the opposite. When we mentally rehearse challenges, we remove the shock factor. If we have already imagined handling a difficult situation, we will not be blindsided when it happens. This makes the real event feel less overwhelming and allows us to take control. Instead of being victims of circumstances, we become people with a plan, prepared to act. This is not pessimism, it is resilience training. How elite performers train like Stoics. This principle is not just philosophical, it is backed by modern psychology and used by elite professionals worldwide. Athletes train under extreme pressure, simulating real competition stress. Their minds and bodies adapt so that when the real event comes, they perform with calmness and confidence. Military forces undergo grueling simulations of combat scenarios. When real danger arrives, their reactions are automatic and precise rather than fear-driven. Firefighters, paramedics, and first responders rehearse crisis situations repeatedly. This ensures that in a real emergency, they act quickly and efficiently instead of freezing. If these high-stakes professionals use mental preparation to increase resilience, why should we not apply the same principle in our daily lives? A real-life example: facing job loss with preparation. Imagine you start worrying about losing your job. The natural reaction for most people is fear and anxiety, but a Stoic-trained mind handles it differently. Instead of spiraling into panic, a mentally prepared person would ask themselves important questions. What would I do if I lost my job today? What skills do I need to build to stay competitive? How can I expand my network now so I have options later? What side income or emergency fund can I start preparing? By proactively visualizing and preparing, the fear of job loss diminishes. If the worst happens, you are not caught off guard. You are ready. How to apply the premeditation of evils. To integrate this powerful Stoic mindset, practice the following steps regularly. Identify potential challenges. Think about areas of life where unexpected problems could arise. Ask yourself, what is the worst that could happen? List realistic challenges that could disrupt your life. Visualize yourself handling these scenarios. Instead of just imagining failure, go a step further. Picture yourself responding calmly and strategically. See yourself taking action instead of panicking. Mentally rehearse the steps you would take. Take proactive steps. Now, mental preparation alone is not enough. You must build resilience in advance. If you worry about financial instability, start saving today. If you fear public speaking, practice in small, controlled situations. If you are concerned about your health, start exercising and eating better now. By acting early, you prevent panic before a crisis even happens. Detach emotionally from the outcome. The ultimate goal of this practice is not to obsess over worst-case scenarios. It is to develop the ability to handle them without fear. Remind yourself, I can handle whatever happens. I am prepared. Let go of the need for certainty. Embrace the unknown with confidence, turning fear into strength. Seneca's lesson reminds us that fortune favors the prepared mind. Mental toughness is not built in moments of crisis. It is built in moments of preparation. By practicing the premeditation of evils, we remove the power of fear and uncertainty, replacing them with confidence, clarity, and readiness. So, as you reflect on this lesson, ask yourself, what challenges in my life am I unprepared for? What steps can I take today to strengthen my resilience? How can I train my mind to respond with logic instead of panic? Now, let's move to Lesson 4, where we will explore how embracing hardship voluntarily can further strengthen your resilience. Let's dive in. Lesson 4. Strength in hardship. Difficulties. Strengthen the mind as labor does the body. The role of hardship in building mental toughness. Most people spend their lives avoiding hardship, seeking comfort and minimizing difficulties at all costs. But what if I told you that this avoidance is actually making you weaker? Seneca, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, taught us that challenges are not to be feared. They are to be embraced. He famously stated, "Difficulties strengthen the mind as labor does the body." Just as our bodies grow stronger through physical exertion, our minds grow stronger through adversity. Without challenges, we become fragile, unprepared, and easily overwhelmed. But by intentionally engaging with difficulty, we develop resilience, confidence, and mental toughness. Why hardships build strength? The science behind discomfort. Modern research in psychology and neuroscience confirms what Seneca knew centuries ago. Exposing ourselves to controlled stresses enhances mental resilience. The concept of the hormetic stress response explains that controlled exposure to stress, such as cold showers, fasting, or rigorous exercise, triggers an adaptive response. This makes us more physically and mentally resilient. Studies in the psychology of resilience show that people who experience moderate adversity in life are more resilient, better problem solvers, and less prone to anxiety compared to those who have never faced hardship. Another key concept is anti-fragility, introduced by Nassim Nicholas Taleb. Unlike fragile systems that break under stress, humans can actually become stronger when exposed to challenges, but only if we embrace them correctly. In simple terms, avoiding discomfort makes us weak, while leaning into difficulty builds strength. Seneca's experiment, practicing voluntary hardship. Seneca did not just talk about resilience, he practiced it. Despite his immense wealth and high status in Rome, he deliberately lived in poverty for short periods to test his ability to endure discomfort. He wore simple clothes, ate basic food, and slept on the floor. Not because he had to, but because he wanted to prove to himself that he could handle a life of struggle. This practice did two things. First, it hardened his mind, reminding him that external luxuries were unnecessary for happiness. Second, it removed his fear of losing wealth because he had already experienced hardship and knew he could survive without material excess. If you are never exposed to discomfort, how can you be sure you can handle adversity when it arrives? Practical ways to voluntarily embrace hardships. You do not have to live in poverty like Seneca to develop mental toughness, but you can integrate small doses of discomfort into your life to build resilience. Here are some practical ways to do that. First, engage in physical discomfort. Take cold showers to build mental fortitude and improve stress tolerance. Push yourself beyond your limits with intense exercise, as physical strength translates into mental strength. Occasionally, skip a meal or two through fasting to test your ability to function without instant gratification. Second, take on intellectual and skill-based challenges. Learn a difficult skill such as public speaking, learning a new language, or mastering an instrument. Challenging your brain strengthens your mind. Embrace rejection by deliberately putting yourself in situations where rejection is possible. Apply for opportunities, start conversations, or ask for things outside your comfort zone. Third, reduce dependence on comforts. Try living below your means for a week by spending only on essentials and simplifying your lifestyle, just as Seneca did. Take the harder route in daily tasks, such as walking instead of driving, choosing the stairs over the elevator, or going without entertainment for a day. Lean into hardships instead of avoiding them. When discomfort arises, most people's natural reaction is to run away from it. But Stoicism teaches us to lean into hardship because that is where growth happens. Instead of complaining about challenges, reframe them as training for your mind. Ask yourself, what lesson is this challenge teaching me? Expose yourself to small discomforts regularly. By incorporating voluntary hardships into your routine, you will be prepared when unexpected challenges arise. Measure growth, not avoidance. Instead of measuring success by how easy your life is, measure it by how much discomfort you have learned to endure without breaking. Turning hardships into strength. Seneca's wisdom is clear. Hardships are not curses. They are opportunities to grow. Avoiding difficulties makes us weaker, but facing them head-on makes us stronger. True strength is not found in comfort. It is found in overcoming resistance. By voluntarily embracing small discomforts daily, we prepare ourselves for bigger challenges ahead. When life tests us, we do not break. We thrive. Now let's move to Lesson 5, where we will explore how to overcome self-victimization and reclaim control over your life. Lesson 5. The danger of self-victimization. We suffer more. Often in imagination than in reality, the trap of self-victimization. Have you ever caught yourself dwelling on the worst possible outcome, even when things are not that bad? Have you ever been so consumed by a fearful thought that it ruined your mood, your day, or even your entire week? Seneca understood this human tendency well. He famously said, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." In other words, most of our pain is self-inflicted. It does not come from actual events, but from how we interpret them. We create unnecessary suffering by catastrophizing. We assume the worst, imagine failure before it happens, and let our fears dominate our thinking. Instead of dealing with real problems, we get stuck in hypothetical suffering. This is the danger of self-victimization. When we constantly see ourselves as victims of circumstances rather than creators of our responses, we surrender our power. How our thoughts shape reality, CBT and Stoicism. Seneca's insight is supported by modern psychology, particularly cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT. CBT is one of the most effective treatments for anxiety and depression, and it is based on a simple principle. Our thoughts shape our reality. Here is how it works. Imagine you fail a job interview. A person trapped in self-victimization might think, "I am a failure, I will never succeed." This negative thought leads to feeling hopeless, anxious, and unmotivated. As a result, they stop applying for jobs, reinforcing their belief in failure. A Stoic, however, would think, "This is a setback, not a permanent failure. What can I learn from this?" This rational thought leads to feeling motivated to improve. They refine their approach, try again, and increase their chances of success. In both Stoicism and CBT, the key is to become aware of our thoughts and actively challenge irrational fears and self-defeating beliefs. Reframing failure, a path to growth. The way we interpret setbacks defines whether we learn from them or suffer because of them. Imagine two people who fail at launching a business. The first person, trapped in self-victimization, thinks, "The market is against me. I was doomed to fail. I will never succeed." Their outcome is giving up entirely. The second person, using the Stoic mindset, thinks, "This was an experiment that did not work. What lessons can I take from this? How can I improve for the next attempt?" Their outcome is trying again, armed with knowledge. Failure is never final unless you decide it is. Challenging negative thoughts. When you catch yourself falling into self-victimization, follow this simple Stoic practice. First, recognize the thought. The first step is awareness. Catch yourself when you start imagining worst-case scenarios. Ask, "Am I suffering from an actual event or just my thoughts about it?" Second, challenge the thought. Ask yourself, "Is this really as bad as I think?" Look for evidence against your fear. Most of the time, our worst fears never materialize. Use logic to counteract emotion. Third, reframe the thought. Instead of saying, "This is a disaster," say, "This is a learning experience." Instead of saying, "I always fail," say, "I am growing through challenges." Language shapes perception. Choose words that empower you, not weaken you. Fourth, shift from asking, "Why me?" to "What can I do?" Self-victimization asks, "Why is this happening to me?" A Stoic mind asks, "How can I respond to this?" This shift turns passive suffering into active growth. Take control of your story. Seneca reminds us that most suffering is imaginary. It is the product of an undisciplined mind that magnifies problems instead of solving them. By challenging negative thoughts, reframing failure, and shifting our focus to action, we free ourselves from self-imposed suffering and reclaim control over our lives. In the next lesson, we will explore how solitude and introspection can bring clarity and inner strength. Let's dive in. Lesson 6. The value of solitude. Retire into yourself as much as possible. Solitude versus isolation. Understanding the difference. In a world that constantly demands our attention, solitude has become a rare commodity. Notifications, social media, and endless distractions make it almost impossible to spend time alone with our thoughts. But Seneca reminds us, retire into yourself as much as possible. At first, this might sound like a call to isolate ourselves from the world. In reality, Stoic solitude is not about loneliness. It is about clarity, self-awareness, and personal growth. There is a profound difference between isolation and intentional solitude. Isolation is feeling alone, disconnected, and cut off from the world. Solitude is choosing to step back, reflect, and develop a stronger connection with yourself. The ability to sit with your own thoughts, free from distractions, is an essential part of mental toughness. If we constantly avoid solitude, if we always fill silence with noise, we rob ourselves of the chance to truly understand our own minds. The science behind solitude. Why alone time is powerful. Modern research supports what Seneca and the Stoics knew centuries ago. Spending time alone has measurable benefits for the brain. Studies show that people who regularly practice solitude have higher levels of creative thinking and problem-solving abilities. Being alone helps reduce anxiety and stress, giving the brain space to process emotions effectively. Without external pressures, we make better, more rational choices by reflecting on what truly matters. In essence, solitude is not just a philosophical idea, it is a scientifically proven tool for mental clarity and resilience. Marcus Aurelius, The Power of Journaling in Solitude. Perhaps one of the best examples of Stoic solitude is Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher. Despite ruling over an empire, he made time for daily solitude through journaling. His book, Meditations, was not written for the public. It was his private reflections, a way to process his thoughts and align his actions with his values. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul." By taking time to think, reflect, and write, he was able to maintain clarity, focus, and inner strength, even amidst the chaos of leadership. If the ruler of the most powerful empire in the world could make time for solitude, so can we. Cultivating solitude in daily life. To integrate this Stoic principle into your life, make intentional solitude a regular habit. First, set aside quiet time each day. Find at least 10 to 15 minutes to be alone with your thoughts, without your phone or any distractions. This could be in the morning, before bed, or during a walk in nature. Second, journal like Marcus Aurelius. Writing helps clarify your thoughts and reveal patterns in your thinking. Ask yourself, what did I do well today? Where did I let emotions take control? What can I improve tomorrow? Third, practice solitude without isolation. Solitude does not mean cutting yourself off from people. It means developing inner peace so you rely less on external validation. Use solitude to strengthen your sense of self, so that when you engage with others, you do so with clarity and purpose. The strength found in silence. Seneca, Marcus Aurelius, and the Stoics all understood that solitude is where the mind becomes stronger. By retreating inward, we gain perspective, master our emotions, and make better decisions. We stop being reactive and start being intentional. The greatest battles are fought within, and solitude is where we sharpen our mental weapons. As we wrap up this lesson, let's reflect. When was the last time you sat alone with your thoughts? What clarity might you find if you made solitude a priority? Now let's move to our final conclusion. where we will explore how these 6 Stoic lessons can be applied daily to create an unbreakable mindset. Conclusion: the path to unbreakable mental strength. Seneca's wisdom is not just philosophical theory. It is a roadmap for mental toughness, a guide to help us navigate life's challenges with clarity, resilience, and self-mastery. Every one of us will face hardships, uncertainty, and emotional struggles at some point. But instead of being victims of circumstance, the Stoic mindset teaches us to become stronger because of them. If there is one thing to take away from this, it is that our power lies not in controlling the external world, but in mastering ourselves. The more we train our minds, the more we can handle anything life throws at us. Key takeaways from Seneca's wisdom. Here is a quick recap of the 6 Stoic lessons that can transform your mindset. First, focus deeply instead of multitasking. Multitasking is a trap. True productivity comes from deep, focused work. Train yourself to do one thing at a time with full presence. Second, master your impulses through self-awareness. Emotions do not control us unless we let them. Pause before reacting. Choose logic over impulse. Third, mentally prepare for adversity. Do not fear hardship. Visualize and prepare for it before it happens. Practicing the premeditation of evils removes fear and builds confidence. Fourth, seek challenges to build resilience. Avoiding discomfort makes you weaker. Embracing it makes you stronger. Take cold showers, practice voluntary hardship, and push yourself daily. Fifth, avoid self-victimization and reclaim control. We suffer more from our thoughts than from reality. When negative thoughts arise, challenge them. Reframe failure as growth. Sixth, embrace solitude for mental clarity. Step away from distractions. Solitude sharpens the mind. Take time daily to reflect, journal, and strengthen your inner world. Final thought: true strength comes from within. These principles are not just meant to be heard, they are meant to be lived. Each day, life will present new challenges. The question is, will you let them break you, or will you use them to become stronger? If you apply these Stoic lessons, you will develop mental toughness that no external force can shake. Join the conversation now. I would love to hear from you. Which Stoic lesson resonated with you most? How will you apply it in your life? Drop a comment below and let's build a community of resilient thinkers. If you want to go deeper into Stoicism, check out the recommended videos on screen. Thank you for watching, and remember, true strength does not come from the outside, it comes from within.